Well, hi, Angela, and welcome to Rebuilding My Health. I am so excited to have you back to talk again about your health journey and share some of the latest and what you learned along the way. Would you introduce yourself and what you do?
Sure. I'm Angela Privin. I've been a health coach for the last 13 years. My website is Do It Yourself Health. And the reason I called it that is because 21 years ago, I had IBS diagnosis, and no doctors could help me. And they told me it was uncurable, but I was able to completely reverse it myself. And after that, I just believe that you really can heal yourself. You can do it yourself. You need support along the way, most likely, but healing is an inside job. So anyway, I'm a health coach. I focus on digestion, but in that process, I have learned that to heal a gut, it takes more than just diet protocols, detox, supplements, and it takes a holistic approach: mind, body, spirit, emotions. And my life experience and my work with clients has shown me that everybody's different, but if you figure out what it is, where your healing blind spot is, that's usually the way in to completely resolving your health issues. So I'm here to really talk about more of a holistic approach to healing because I don't think a lot of health coaches are working this way. They're still sort of doing the thing that I used to do, the running labs and suggesting diets and supplements. And so there's so much more to healing than that.
Absolutely, for sure. So you've been on many health journeys, or your health journey has had some ups and downs with SIBO, gut issues, and some thyroid challenges, etc. So your most recent health challenge is is burnout. Tell us more about like, what happened, what you experienced, and what led up to that, and what it looked like.
Yeah, as a health coach, as an empath, someone who is a caregiver, helps people with their health. It's an intense job. I feel like there was a lot of stress inputs in my life, and I moved to another country during COVID, and that was difficult. And with all the stress inputs in my life and combined with my personality, um, I felt like I'd always was one step ahead of burnout.
Mm.
But my self-care, my diet, my knowledge to keep myself in balance was always enough to keep me running just one step ahead, never really falling into burnout. I'd have the stress, but I'd have the recovery just enough, but not enough to actually recover, but just enough to keep a step ahead of crashing. So something happened. When you're just a step ahead, you can stumble. And I stumbled. And what happened was I lost a loved one, very close loved one. It was a big part of my life. And the grief was so overwhelming that it put me that was a stumble and it put me straight into burnout. And I got to learn about burnout.
Yeah.
Like a deep burnout, not just like you've worked too hard and then you have to kind of rest,
Mhm.
but like really a deep burnout where you just kind of lose your spark, your joy, your motivation. No matter how much you rest, you can't really feel relaxed
Mhm.
or covered. So that was my experience with burnout.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. And it was, I think that is caused by stressors, right? And grief is a major stressor.
Yes, and I don't think a lot of people know that emotions, very intense emotions like grief, produce a lot of cortisol in your body. So, yeah, it was basically like my adrenals were just going, going, going. Even if I wasn't doing much,
Mhm.
they were just going, 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 and it was too much for my body to handle.
Yeah. So, like, what are the symptoms of burnout? What did that look like for you, or what can that look like for someone?
I mean, symptoms look different for everybody, but for me, it was fatigue. Um, Being kind of like in a freeze state, so like lack of motivation, um, not not feeling like myself, not being able to push through, feeling really overwhelmed all the time. Um, yeah, being really stressed, not resilient to stress. Like the littlest things would push me over the edge. The biggest feeling was sort of like fatigue. Oh, you can also have problems sleeping. You can have hormone imbalance. As this was going on, I was also transitioning into menopause, so that was fun. And all those symptoms of menopause were heightened. So everyone expresses symptoms differently in their body. But in mine, it was I'm someone who likes to do a lot and do it fast, and I couldn't do any of it. I couldn't really do anything. I couldn't be myself anymore. And it was really hard to work. It was very, very difficult to work
Yeah. Yeah, I can
because
imagine. Yeah.
I saved all of my energy for my coaching. And, there's much more to running a business than coaching. And I just put that sort of on a back burner
Yeah,
so I can support my clients
for
and use my
sure.
energy for that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Angela, how would you explain burnout to someone, or like physiologically what's happening? There's adrenal impact. You've said thyroid impact in the past. Explain more about that.
Yeah, well, it's all connected. The adrenals and the thyroids are besties. So when it happens to one, the other reacts. But burnout is really simple. It's just when your nervous system has been in fight or flight for so long, meaning you're pumping out cortisol and adrenaline, and you're running on stress hormones, your body's adapting to the stress so you can function. But you can't run on stress hormones. That's not real energy. Eventually, your body you can't sustain it. So instead of having a really bad crash, what your body does is it protects you by slowing down your digestion, your hormones by slowing down the thyroid hormones, the adrenal hormones, and it takes away your motivation and it takes away your energy. So you can't do so much. So my experience is very typical. My body was protecting me by slowing me down, even though I don't like to go slow, and asking for safety, so I could and slowness so I could recover. Um, and that really is at the simplest terms is what burnout is. It's like your input is doesn't matches don't does not match your output, or your output does not match your input, meaning you do too much and you recover too little.
Mm,
And with grief, here's the thing, like every other that was like a big baseline stressor, and every other stressor in my life just piled on to that.
yeah,
So I had to kind of balance. You had to balance the support and the stress.
yeah. Yeah, yeah. And as that piles on, I imagine it's like overwhelm. You just
Overwhelm.
start to
My
feel
biggest,
overwhelmed, and like everything just kind of is shutting down. Yeah.
yes, that was my biggest experience is the overwhelm, which is a
Yeah.
terrible feeling.
Mhm. Yeah, right, right. For sure. Yeah. So did you do testing like on your adrenals or, how did you know what was going on with yourself?
I mean, it was pretty clear what my adrenals were doing, but I did a test called the hair tissue mineral analysis test. And what is wonderful about this test is that adrenals will tell you, that your adrenals are not functioning well. But this test will tell you why, because the adrenals need certain minerals to work properly, potassium and sodium and magnesium in particular. And it'll tell you if they're too high and there's like a lot of inflammation and you are in like sympathetic mode, or if you've already crashed and you're in kind of a parasympathetic mode. And I'm not talking about rest and digest, I'm talking about crash mode,
Mm,
where your body's really slowed down because it's too much, right? So I took this test just to see how out of balance my nervous system was, if I was in freeze, if I was in fight or flight. And it also showed me how I could support my minerals to get me out of burnout faster. So, if I was low on potassium and sodium, I would just supplement and the other minerals as well. So it
mhm.
gives me an idea of what is going on with my body so I can intervene. And, knowledge is always power, as opposed to the other types of tests, which won't really tell you much other than, yes, you're in adrenal fatigue.
Right, right. That makes complete sense. So you recognize that you needed to do some mineral supplementation, boost that up. What other steps did you take that were really key to healing from burnout?
Yeah. Well, I did the nervous system regulation. I really believe that rhythm and routine are essential for your nervous system to heal. So, I just set up some really supportive practices like sound healing, um, sauna, breath work. Um, I did some group coaching. Took place in a group coaching a class, and inquiry, meditation, these kinds of things really supported my nervous system, but mostly just having a rhythm of and a routine of like getting up every day, doing the same things, like meditating at every day at the same time, um, cooking, having dates with friends, and that was very supportive. And I started getting much, much better. But one of the things that made me crash again was traveling.
Mhm.
I spent 2 months in Mexico City, and traveling is very stressful. It takes you out of your rhythm and your routine.
Yeah.
I was staying in places that, by the way, were moldy and had kitchens where I couldn't cook. I was eating out a lot. The food is amazing in Mexico City, but it also was very polluted there. We were on high altitude, so there were stressors coming from every direction. And I noticed that as I was recovering from doing the nervous system regulation, more stress through the traveling and my lifestyle shifts. I started getting worse again. So the game changer came when I came home and I started the GAPS diet. So I added nutrition to my, regulation and routine. And the GAPS diet, it's a very intense diet. It's a very restrictive diet. I did the full GAPS mostly, but it's very similar to the diet I did 21 years ago to get my gut health back. But um, you know, this time I really focused on a lot more bone broth and stews and simple to digest foods. And it was the balancing of my blood sugar and letting my gut rest with really easy to digest low starch foods. That was the thing that tipped me over. back to having energy again.
And
So it was, a partnership of mind and body.
yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, really nurturing. And the GAPS diet is, would you mind just give a brief description of what that looks like?
Yeah, it's basically eating very traditional foods that our ancestors used to eat before agriculture. So no grains, limited beans. I think lentils were the only ones that were allowed. Only lactose-free cheeses, like limited dairy, and mostly focusing on bone broth, animal protein, healthy animal fats like ghee or butter or coconut oil, and lots of vegetables. The GAPS diet has different stages, so it's very structured, but we went through all the stages. I did it with my husband. We went through the stages way too quickly, stage 1 to 6, probably in 2 weeks. Um, and just landed on the full diet, which excludes like grains and starchy vegetables like potatoes and sweet potatoes, and includes lots of bone broth and animal proteins and vegetables and fruit. And just the kind of foods that my great 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 grandmother would recognize, nothing processed at all. It's a very strict diet. I think a lot of people would call it restrictive. And there's a lot of, you need to cook a lot, so it takes a lot of work and effort. But I find that cooking really slows you down. And as I said, slowness, I think, is the number one thing that your body needs to recover and your nervous system needs to recover. So spending that time in the kitchen, cooking food, nurturing myself was also part of the recovery.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And I think it's important that you point that out because I think a lot of people are like, oh, I don't have that, I'm very sick. I don't want to cook. I don't have the energy to cook or whatever. But like, yeah, if you can just kind of start small, like, but yeah, broths and that kind of thing, like is maybe an easier step. And then also kind of look at cooking, like you said, as this kind of nourishing, mindful thing. You're kind of like you're in the present when you're cooking. Um, and yeah, you kind of like can think of it as nourishing instead of a chore.
Absolutely. And I think that cooking has been my superpower in keeping healthy in these 2 decades.
Yeah.
As you said, I've had all the things, SIBO and thyroid stuff and mold illness and tick bites and all this stuff that I've gotten over. And I think it was just the fact that I learned to cook through being sick, and it's been my superpower.
Yeah.
And it's really regular. It is really grounding. And yeah, I think that if people, it slows you down. And I think that if people really had a different relationship with cooking, it could really be an amazing, nourishing part of the recovery.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. So, what signs did you see that let you know that you were getting better?
Well, my energy came back, my joy came back. I did not sweat the stuff that I used to sweat before. I could exercise more. I was happier. I slept better. Actually, I have an Aura ring, and it actually told me that I was recovering because my heart rate went down. My HRV went up, but my heart rate when I was sleeping went down. The lower your heart rate is, the better, but the higher your HRV is, the better. HRV is heart rate variability, and it's tied to nervous system health. So my Aura ring was telling me you're improving, but I felt it. I felt like myself again.
Yeah. Um, Very cool. Okay, yeah. So it sounds like the self-care, the diet changes, some supplementation with minerals and
With
such
mineral. Yeah. Mhm.
were the main things. Anything else that you feel like was foundational for getting better?
I mean, all of those things took care of my thyroid and adrenals on a physical level, an emotional level. Oh, you know what? Getting support. Like I had friends that I would have, Zoom dates with just to talk through what was going on with me, how I was feeling, my emotional stuff, my grief, my feelings, and get that support and have that witnessing. I think that co-regulation is so, so important. So that rhythm and routine and support and connection, and it's good for your immune system, feeling connected. So, and the minerals, I think that was really the formula that got me out of burnout and some patience, which is the hardest part.
Yes, yes, I know. I know. It is hard to be patient. So in terms of going forward and a maintenance regimen, are you just like what are you continuing to do to be resilient and uh, prevent this from happening again?
Trying not to be one step ahead of burnout. I
Mhm.
keep taking my minerals. That's very important. And eating, I'm not doing the GAPS diet anymore, but I'm eating very much in that spirit. I really do feel a difference when I don't eat that way. That's very good for my body. It is so important. Blood sugar is one of the most important things for thyroid and adrenal health. And that kind of diet, the GAPS kind of diet, really helps balance my blood sugar. And I think that being very conscious of not pushing myself past my limits is very important, and that's a work in progress, right? I would say that that's probably one of the reasons why I was so susceptible to burnout because I have a tendency to push through and do more than I'm capable of doing. So just taking it slow so that my body doesn't have to do it for me. And it's not perfect. And sometimes I find myself speeding. But all you have to do is notice and slow down.
Right.
Easier said than done, but that's basically been the lesson that I've learned.
Yeah. Yeah, to pay attention.
Yeah, you don't have to do all the things. Maybe sometimes you just have to slow down, notice what do you need, recover. Um, it's not easy. It's easy to say, it's not easy to do, but it's when you don't listen to your body for long enough, it will remind you in in unpleasant ways.
Yes, yes, yeah. It's just your body telling you that you need to do something differently, right?
Different pace, different rhythm. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Um, yeah, you recently said that no protocol can override the energy that it's built on, and that kind of struck me because it's something that I've seen across so many health interviews that I've done. Would you explain a little bit more about what you mean by that?
Sure. So, for example, if the energy that got you sick was that you were trying to control everything, or you were very fearful, you did everything out of fear, or you're perfectionistic, everything had to be just so, um, you can't use that same energy that got you to where you were, like me pushing, um, to heal. You can't use that same energy to heal. Like for me, if I tried to rush my healing, push my healing, go fast, that wouldn't have worked. Um, you have to sort of look at what it is, what energy you're bringing, what energy got you there, and what energy are you bringing to your healing. And usually it's not so easy to do because it takes self-awareness, and that's where mirroring from other people, from coaching, will help you see and look and notice, yeah, I can't use this energy to heal. And so, I mean, perfectionism, I work with a lot of perfectionists, and they think like, okay, if I follow this exactly as I'm told, I'll be better. And when they're not, that really messes with their head and their confidence. And there's nothing wrong with their body. It's just that that perfectionism, that pressure is just keeping that cortisol pumping.
Mm,
And the body never heals in fight or flight. Burnout or no burnout, it does not, that's not the healing state. So these energies and emotions that get you sick, you can't bring them to the to healing.
yeah. Like yeah, the kind of pushing to heal, like and controlling and forcing, right? It's more eminent like allowing, perhaps.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, which is yeah, powerful message, I think, for all of us. Well, Angela, how has this experience changed your approach as a health coach?
Yeah. So I work more holistically now. I see how much emotion has to do with your health. And I bring all of the person in. We look at the emotional part, we look at the mental part. What do you believe? What are you thinking all day? We look at the physical, of course. I've always looked at the physical, but we work synergistically with all the parts of you. We leave nothing out, even the energetic part, which is your intention, how you interact with the world. That's your energy field. And I've developed a four root system where I work with the mind and the body and the emotions and the energy field, and as well as the thyroid, adrenals, gut, and liver, to include all of you in the experience. And I find that when you heal holistically, truly holistically, and I don't see very many people doing this, I see a few people, but not enough. When you heal holistically, it goes faster and you heal deeper, and you're not just doing a superficial fix that you're just going to flare or just get sick again. You're really going deep and fixing the actual problem. So I work really holistically now. It's not just with the body, but the whole person.
Yeah. Yeah. Super important. Yeah, I think that's an important shift. And the fact that you've been through this uh, helps you understand where folks are coming from. And yeah, sure. You bring a lot of empathy as a result of that.
And life and embodied life experience as well.
Yeah, for sure. So what advice would you give someone who might be in the midst of burnout right now?
Yeah, you don't have to do all the things. Sometimes less is more. And it's more important, again, to slow down and really look at the story of like what got you there and what support you need to get you out. And, don't ignore any parts of yourself. A lot of people ignore the emotional parts. Emotions are physical and they cause your adrenals to pump out cortisol. So, unresolved trauma or emotion, I would say this is one of the blind spots that people don't address, but is one of the biggest things that I see that has gotten people sick to begin with. So I would say if you feel like a lot of frustration around your healing process, don't keep doing the same thing over and over again. Really slow down and see what it is that you really need to heal. And I know that that is not very specific advice, but I feel like it will save people a lot of time and frustration and losing hope and money to not keep going down the same path that has not worked before and just ask, what part of myself am I not addressing? Is it the way I think? Is it the way I feel? Is it just the way I support my body? Because actually, some people are just working on the nervous system and not the physical part, the body, the diet. And you have to sort of balance your approach. So instead of doing more, do do less, but the right things. And yeah, I don't all the things that I was doing, like the sauna and the breath work and the meditation, I didn't need to do all of that to heal. I did it because I just enjoyed it. But just one or two things that I enjoyed and uh, a diet that balances my blood sugar and lowers my inflammation would have been enough, as well as, processing my grief, which of course takes time and support. Um, I think that, yeah, slowing down and really asking yourself, what what do I need and what part of myself am I ignoring?
Yeah, that's powerful. Yeah, yeah. And I mean that's the first step is just yeah, slowing down and tuning in. Right. So, well,
That sounds very 1960s.
yeah, right. Yeah, that makes sense. Um, Angela, you have I think it's a healing blind spots quiz that folks can take. You
Yeah,
gonna
yeah,
let
yeah.
people know where they can find that and find you.
Yeah, you can find that on my website, which is DIY for do-it-yourself health, DIYhealthblog.com. And yeah, you'll see the blind spot quiz right there. And it'll show you kind of what organ is needed, what organ it needs support the most. Is it your thyroid, adrenals, gut, liver? Um, you know, I found that most people with gut issues, it didn't start in the gut, it started in the adrenals. So it just will tell you what system to address first. So you're working in the correct order. So that you can find it there and yeah, uncover one of your healing blind spots.
Great. Well, Angela, thank you so much for sharing your story again and all the wisdom that has come with it. I know that this will help folks who are facing something similar, have some hope and something to take away to start supporting themselves in healing. So thank you. I'm grateful that you continue to like, yeah, share your story because so many of us have learned from you and continue to.
Yeah, I feel like these things happen to me so that I can share them and lead by example and go first and sort of shine the light for other people.
Yeah. Yeah. And thank you for doing that.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Yeah. Likewise. Okay. Thank you. Take care.
All right. Take care.